Good evening. Welcome back. So, in this week, we will be mainly focusing on digital image processing. So, today is the first session on digital image processing, the basic concepts. In this session, we will briefly see what is a digital image. Then, we will proceed to digital image processing. After giving a brief of the digital image processing, we will go to the first major function of image processing, that is image pre-processing, which basically includes radiometric and geometric corrections. So I will start with first covering what is an image and a digital image. But before that, you must have heard the famous Chinese adage that a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So, human beings basically are very good at deriving information from images because of our innate visual and mental abilities. About it is said that about 75% of the information which is received by human is in pictorial format, right? So in our context, we are talking about the pictures or the imageries which have been captured by the satellites, sensors, which are orbiting around the Earth. So, we are basically talking about in this session, we will be mainly focusing on Earth observation optical data. So, the images captured by those sensors. So, coming to what is an image? Image is a pictorial representation of an object or a scene or even a phenomenon. There are two forms of images, analog image and digital image. Analog images represent a continuously varying quantity, which is basically intensity or color. The images that I'm showing here are the analog images. So, a portrait, whether it is a portrait of Mona Lisa or a photograph of the girl child or this visual representation of the satellite image, they are pictorial representation of the scenes or the object or phenomena in displaying different colors or intensities. So they are analog images. A digital image is produced by basically electro-optical sensors which are on board the satellites which are orbiting around the Earth in our EO data sense. So a digital image, it is composed of these tiny equal areas which are called as picture elements, or more commonly you will hear the abbreviation pixel or PEL, right, which is for picture element, and they are arranged in a matrix form in a rectangular array. That means we can address each element by its row and column index. So with each pixel is associated a number which is called as brightness value, or a digital number which is a record of reflected or emitted or backscattered energy in discrete form. Since we are talking, I said we are talking about Earth observation optical data. Here we will mainly be discussing, or we will be mainly concentrating on the discussions on reflected energy. So that means it is the record of reflected energy in discrete form. An object which generally reflects more energy will have a higher digital number, and an object reflecting less energy will have a smaller number. So here on this side, I am showing a hypothetical image, a hypothetical digital image, which is 5 rows and 5 columns. Origin of this image is at top left corner. The rows are called as scan lines because they are captured as the satellite moves along, and the columns are called as pixels. They are basically the linear array or the detectors which are there on board the sensor in a linear form, right? So this makes this one is a hypothetical image. Now the I said digital image is composed of tiny equal areas called as pixels. So the size of the pixel corresponds to the spatial resolution of the sensor, and the range of the values depend upon the radiometric resolution. So, or basically the quantization level. So, if the radiometric resolution is 8-bit, the range of values will be between 0 to 255. That is 2 to the power 8. So, maximum 256 values will be there between 0 to 255. Or conversely, if the radiometric resolution for a sensor is 11-bit, the values will be between 0 to 2047. 2047 will be for the object reflecting total energy, and 0 will be for the objects do not reflect any energy at all. Now, this is a single layer hypothetical digital image. You know that remote sensing data is multispectral in nature. That means data for the same area is captured in different spectral ranges, or the spectral based on the spectral resolution, different number of bands. So here, for example, a hypothetical, in the previous example, we have seen the hypothetical image. So analogous of that image is here. Same number of rows and columns in different layers. So this becomes again a hypothetical image, and this is a component from an actual satellite image. So here the 4 different bands of a particular satellite image are displayed here. Band 1 here is in the spectral range of 0.45 to 0.52. Band 2 is in the spectral range of 0.52 and 59 and so on. And the digital values behind them are displayed here. So if I want to make a color composite, I have to combine at least 3 different layers on RGB to get a composite. And here I have displayed here composite of 4, 3 and 2 on RGB, and it is displaying me this false color composite. If I have data which is captured in blue, green and red, and if I display them in their own plane, then what I get is the true color composite as we see the display on our mobile screens or our digital cameras. Right? But remote sensing data is captured in many more layers than these 3 basic layers. RGB, we are also capturing number of layers in the infrared. So as soon as you display infrared, we cannot see infrared with our eyes. So as soon as you display infrared in any of the plane, so the object reflecting more energy will get that particular color. So here in remote sensing, the standard false color composite means a combination of infrared, red and green on RGB. So the standard interpretation key has been developed for this composite. Then having explained about digital image, we can come to digital image processing. Digital image processing can be defined as computer manipulation of digital values in an image for 3 basic reasons. One is image correction, second is enhancement, and third is information extraction. So these are the 3 major reasons for which we do image processing. First is removal of all kind of noise, which is image correction. Second is an optional step called as image enhancement. And third is the most important step, which is information extraction. So to do processing, I should have a processing system. So a digital image processing system, just like any other processing system, will be based on a hardware and a software. Hardware can be any simple personal computer, because nowadays the personal computers, the desktop PCs or even laptops are having sufficient capability to do image processing. But the software has to be a dedicated image processing software which is necessary to analyze the digital data acquired from the satellite images. Right? So it is different from the normal computer image processing softwares, that it should cater to the satellite images and the operations which are specific to satellite images. So if we are talking about Earth observation, digital image processing, so I said that the software should provide me 3 basic functionalities. First one is removal of all kind of errors. That means removing the radiometric and geometric errors which are inherent in a satellite image. So this is termed as image pre-processing, and we are going to see this section in detail. The second is an optional step of image enhancement, which is the altering the visual impact of the image on the viewer to improve the basically the information content of the image. And third one is the most important step, which is information extraction or feature extraction, which is utilizing the decision making capability of computers to recognize and automatically categorize all pixels on an image based on their spectral signatures. So these are the three basic functionalities any image processing software should provide. So we will now see the first one, which is image pre-processing. Now these three basic functionalities are provided in many different softwares, image processing softwares. Image processing softwares dealing especially with the geospatial data, with the Earth observation satellite data, geospatial data. So you will see there are large number of commercial off-the-shelf commercial software, COTS software, ADAS Imagines, NV, Idrisi, ER Mapper, PCI Geometrica, and so on. Plus, if you search, if you browse, you will get a long list of free and open source softwares also available for doing geospatial image processing. So there's Ilvis, there is Optics, there is GRASS, OSIM, Multispecs, CVIP tools, and QGIS, that is Quantum GIS, is becoming very popular, a free and open source software both for raster as well as vector processing. So we will see now the theoretical concept first, and the hands-on on QGIS is scheduled later in this thing. So we will be first focusing on the first functionality, which is image pre-processing. Now, why do we need to do image pre-processing? Because the remote sensing systems means sensors on board satellites which are continuously orbiting around the Earth. The sensors on board these satellites may not function perfectly all the time. Of course, they are calibrated before being flown on board the satellite, but they may go out of calibration and may not. I'm not saying that necessarily they will not function perfectly. May not function perfectly all the time. Second thing is, we are trying to capture the Earth atmosphere, land, or water from these remote sensing devices, which have certain constraints like they have a fixed spatial resolution or number of bands, that is spectral resolution or temporal resolution or radiometric resolution. So we are trying to capture the complex processes of atmosphere, land, or water with these devices. So error may come in any stage. It may come at any stage and may degrade the quality of the data that is captured by the sensor. So the most common type of errors that are there in the images, satellite images, are the radiometric errors and the geometric errors. The combinedly correcting these two errors, the radiometric and geometric errors, they are termed as image pre-processing, and they should be done, as the name suggests, they should be performed prior to the information extraction. So image pre-processing is done prior to information extraction. Now I mentioned that the two type of errors which are encountered in the satellite image are radiometric errors and geometric errors. So what are radiometric errors and what is the cause for the radiometric error in the imagery? Now, if you have heard the term radiometric resolution, we know it is quantization level. That means the brightness levels. So, if the brightness levels or if the brightness value or the digital number of a particular pixel is distorted, that means there is a radiometric error. And it's a value which is an error, so it is caused by the detector. Either the detector has gone faulty or there is some atmospheric error. Right? So radiometric errors are caused by detector or the sensor imbalance and atmospheric deficiency, two main reasons. And correcting the radiometric errors is also called as cosmetic correction, because the radiometric errors, what they do, they hamper our ability for the visual interpretation of the image. So they are done to improve the visual appearance of the image, and the most common radiometric errors are line or column dropouts, and they may be periodic or partial. So periodic, that means after every certain line or after every certain column there is a dropout or there is a striping. What is the difference between two, we will discuss in the subsequent slides. There can be random bad pixels. There, as I mentioned, partial line and column dropouts and atmospheric errors. So these are the reasons for radiometric errors. Now the line dropout. Dropout means if a detector fails to record any value, so that will result in the complete line being zero with no value. So no value is a zero value, and this can be periodic line or column, right? So this is dropout, that is value is nearly it is zero, equal to zero. That is a line dropout. Now where it will be periodic, that is when every detect, if the detector is if there are number of detectors and one of the detector fails, so that means every either 8 line, 16 line, or a particular depending upon the number of detectors, that particular line periodically will be a zero line. Or a partially it can be a partial dropout, that only while during transmission some of the values are lost, right? So this is partial line or column dropout. Now how do we correct for these dropouts? Of course, if the data is not recorded, there is no way you can get it back. You can simply do some processing to get the values. So first is we have to identify whether a line has gone missing or not. So you can do a simple threshold. That means find the average of each line, right? And if there's any line which has the average around zero value, that means that line has gone bad. That means no data is recorded for that line. So once the bad line is detected, then there are three main methods to correct them. One is replace that bad line, the line with zeros, with a line preceding line having values or the succeeding line having values. So you can replace that line either by a preceding line or a succeeding line. Other could be you can average the preceding and the succeeding line, right, from the same band. Now the third option could be you have a band which is highly correlated and that band has all correct values. There is no line that is dropped in that band. So you can replace that band, you can replace that line with the most correlated band. So these are the three methods for line dropouts. Now how line striping is different from line dropout is that in line dropout there is no response, the response is zero, so you get a zero or you get a random black lines, periodic or partial. In striping or banding, what happens is the detector does not fail to record, but its response shifts towards either higher side or lower side. That means it gives a periodic periodic high values, that is a kind of horizontal or vertical banding patterns. Like for example, in this particular image we are seeing periodic white lines. That means the response of the detector had gone towards higher side and we are seeing complete white lines 255, right? So it is also a cosmetic error and you cannot interpret the objects clearly, right? So the correction, what is the correction method? Correction method is a sensor has number of bands. So look for the band which, or look for the detector which has not deteriorated over time, which is giving perfect result, and you can do a histogram matching. That means you can match the histogram of a faulty detector to that of the correct detector and remove this banding pattern. That means gain and offset of each detector is mapped. Right. So this is that correction method which I was telling, that you have a input which is your faulty detector and you have a output or a reference detector which has not gone bad over the year. So you map the faulty detector to the correct detector. by a linear sensor model. Then the third type of errors that are introduced in the satellite images are atmospheric errors. Three major atmospheric errors are discussed here. They are haze. Haze is the scattered light which reaches the sensor from the atmosphere. Haze is, like suppose here, if this is my sensor which is recording the DN values, and this is the sun and the energy, and this is the pixel for which we are supposed to record the reflectance value which should reach the sensor. So if the what is expected is that the DN radiance the irradiance, that means the sun is illuminating the pixel and the reflected value goes back, the radiance is recorded by the sensor. But in addition, what happens, there is some scattered light which also reaches the field of view of the sensor, right? So this is called as haze, and it reduces the contrast of the image. So this is one error, which is atmospheric error, which is introduced in the imagery. The other two errors are skylight and sun angle effect. Skylight is also a scattered light, as same as haze. It is also a scattered light, but haze is the scattered light which reaches the sensor from the atmosphere, whereas skylight is the light which reaches the sensor after being reflected from the earth's surface, right? So here it is the reflected as well as the scattered light which reaches the sensor's field of view is called as skylight, and it is a multiplicative effect. Now sun angle is basically the seasonal effect of changing the illumination conditions. So this is also a multiplicative effect. So another simplified diagram is that we were expecting that when the sun is illuminating this particular pixel, which is my target pixel, then this its reflectance I wanted to record it. So which is reaching the sensor. This was the ideal situation, but in addition, the light is scattered here and that is reaching the sensor. The light is scattered from the atmosphere, and then also from the after the skylight, that is after hitting the ground, it is scattered and then reaches the sensor. Light from the neighboring pixel is also going into the field of view of the sensor. So it's basically a complex process where the DN value is recorded. Atmosphere, these are the different atmospheric errors which are introduced in the imagery. Now haze is the easiest to see and correct also. Now if you remember, if you see, if you have gone in a hilly area and if you are trying to look down, sometimes if when you're trying to take a picture, the picture appears bluish like this. Reason, we know that lower wavelengths are scattered. We know that their lower wavelengths are scattered. In addition, there could be haze which is reducing the illumination, right? So an image with haze is not much interpretable, so haze has to be removed from the satellite imagery. And haze, as I mentioned in the previous this thing, it is an additive effect. We have to remove the image, we have to remove the haze from the satellite image. You can see two examples here, the image with haze and without haze. One is false color composite, one is true color composite. Now how to remove the haze? It's a very simple method of called as histogram minimum method or dark object subtraction method. In this method, it is assumed that in the histogram minimum method, for the two methods, histogram minimum method and dark object subtraction. In histogram minimum method, the minimum value of the data is subtracted from all DN values, assuming that the minimum value is coming from the scattering. So once you remove that, you are shifting the histogram towards the lower portion, that means starting from 0, assuming that whatever minimum reflectance was there is due to haze. So this is histogram minimum weather. Conversely, you can also identify certain objects in the image which should not reflect any DN value in infrared band. Right? Like for example, the clear water and the shadow zones, they should have no reflectance in the infrared band. So if there is any small reflectance in those areas, it is assumed due to haze, and that value is subtracted from all DN values of the bands, and this is called as dark object subtraction. Okay, so this is the skylight correction is little complex, which cannot be covered in this small time. So we are on the same. Another correction method is sun angle correction. We all know about the sun changing the position of the sun changing due to the in different you can say depending upon different time of the day and the day of the year, the position of the earth relative to earth is keeps changing. So that means the solar elevation angle, that is the angle of the sun above the horizon, it is time dependent. It is also the location dependent, at which location, at which latitude, longitude you are looking at the sun. So the amount of energy that is coming from sun to the earth, that means irradiance, it varies. It is different due to different seasonal changes in the solar elevation angles. Like here you can see the solar elevation angle is different in different seasons, right? You can see this is a smaller solar elevation angle in winter with increasing the values in the summer. Right. So sun elevation angle correction accounts for basically the seasonal position of the sun in relation to the earth. Right. So if we have data sets which are acquired with two different solar illumination angle, with two different solar elevation angles, then they need to be corrected to one common normalized position. So the correction method is involves the computing of the solar zenith angle. So solar zenith angle basically is the angle of the sun measured from the north. Okay. So that is solar zenith angle. So it is necessary for making the if when you want to use multiple scenes and if you want to mosaic them, or for even change detection studies monitoring different things, we should do sun angle correction, because if we have two images acquired with different solar illumination, the results classification results will be different. So to correct the sun angle, to correct the imageries acquired with different sun angle, we will correct each image as if the sun was in its zenith position, right? That means just above the head, we can assume that sun was there, and do that processing so that the variation of the illumination effect is gone. Like for example, here there are two images with two different illumination angles, with two different solar elevation angles, and that is why they cannot be mosaic like this. So for each image, it should be each value in that image should be divided by its the sine of the solar elevation angle. For this image as well as the solar the sine dn value should be divided by solar elevation of this. So then you get the imagery which can be mosaic together, and the effect of differential sun angle is removed. So these are the radiometric errors. Now geometric errors. As the name suggests, if the geometry of the pixel is distorted, it is a geometric error. Even if there is the geometry of the pixel is not distorted, sometimes it is required that you want to overlay your image over a topo sheet. You want to overlay your image over another map, right? So then you also need to do this process called as rectification or geometric error correction. So transformation of remotely sensed image so that it has a scale and a projection, this is called as geometric correction. So here what we are doing is we are placing the reflected or emitted or backscattered energy, that means basically our DN value, in their proper location, right? so that it can be referenced in a GIS, it can be overlaid in with other maps. So that is the geometric error correction. So this process is called as image rectification. Now, one reason here I am just trying to show why the geometric correction needs to be done. We know that when the satellite is taking the image, as it takes one line, as you see here, right? The Earth is rotating underneath. The Earth is rotating underneath, right? So normally sun synchronous satellites follow this pattern. That means they collect the data in a path as the satellite moves from north to south. So once it has captured one line of the imagery, the Earth rotates on its axis from west to east. So next line which it is capturing is actually skewed. It's the shifted to the west. Whereas we get the data like this, continuous stream of data, and assuming that it is capturing in a rectangular pattern. No, the Earth is rotating underneath, so actually the data being captured is should have been skewed like this, right? So this is the data that is captured, and it should have been represented like here in the solid line, right? So this transforming data from this dashed line which is distorted to the solid line is my actually removing the effect of this Earth rotation. So there can be many such errors, geometric errors, which can be introduced in the imagery. Like if there is a large area which is being captured, the pixels in the sides, they will be larger than the pixels in the center. So panoramic distortion, or the if there is a whisk broom type of sensors, the mirror scanning velocity may change. The altitude, attitude of the satellite also plays a role in geometric errors. All these errors can be removed by a simple process called as image rectification. So basically, if I want to overlay my image over a topo sheet, even if there is no geometric error, there is difference in geometry between the geometry of the image and the geometry of the topo sheet. So how the geometry of the image is different from geometry of the topo sheet is that the origin of the imagery is in top left corner. So if I simply match the origin of the image with the origin of the topo sheet, it is not going to match, right, the image. So the image has to be translated. That means shifted to a position where it lies in its appropriate position over the map. The second difference in geometry between the image and the topo sheet is I have to either expand the image to fit over topo sheet, or I have to compress the image to fit over the topo sheet. Third is rotation. The image may not lie perfectly horizontally. It has to be rotated by a certain angle to fit over the topo sheet. And the last one is the due to the earth rotation effect. That is, each line has to be pulled to the west, right? Due to the earth rotation. So these are the basically four differences in geometry between the image and the topo sheet, even if your image does not have any geometric error. So we should correct for these things, and the procedure I am mentioning again and again is called as rectification. So rectification is a process of geometrically correcting an image. It is a process of geometrically correcting an image so that the image can be overlaid over another map or another image. So we can say, in other words, it's a process by which geometry of an image is made planimetric. Now, why do we need it? It is necessary whenever we want to use image as image map. We use a map to measure accurate area, distance and direction measurements, right? So whenever I want to use image for the same purpose, I need to do this step called as rectification. Now my image is, as mentioned, it is indices are rows and columns. It's arranged in a matrix form. Whereas my ground data, my reference coordinates or maps are in northing, eastings or latitude, longitude. That means there are two different grid systems, right? So Rectification is done by transforming data from one grid system into another grid system using a mathematical transformation, using a geometric transformation, right? So we are basically establishing mathematical link between coordinates of pixels and corresponding coordinates on ground. That means basically a map, or basically tying them to northings, eastings, or latitude, longitude. So basically it is a two-step process. In first step, we'll be computing the transformation coefficients, and second step will be resampling. That means filling in the DN value. So two basic steps. The first step involves identifying the ground control points. That means pixels whose ground identity is also known. That means in image they are easily identifiable, as well as on ground or on topo sheet they are easily identifiable. That means ground control points are those points for which we have two set of coordinates, an input coordinates and a reference coordinates. So then once we select the ground control points, we fit mathematical equations between the ground control points using least square technique. And the second step is filling in the DN values in the rectified image. Right? This step is called as resampling. So as I was mentioning, the ground control point is a location on the surface of Earth which can be easily identified on the imagery. That means it has two set of coordinates, a source coordinate, or basically input coordinates or image coordinates in terms of rows and columns, and reference coordinates or map coordinates or xy in terms of latitude, longitudes, or any UTM projection coordinates. Right? So we need accurate ground control points for accurate transformation. Right? So we need ground control points which are well spread over the entire image. Now, if my image is a high resolution imagery, we can see points such as road intersections, airport runways, corners of buildings, towers, etc. But if I have a medium to low resolution imagery, then these man-made objects are not visible. Then we have to depend upon larger features like larger urban areas or geological features. When handling such medium to low resolution images, if any geometrical man-made features are not clearly identifiable, then we should take care that we should not take those landmarks which can vary, like lakes, water bodies. We should not use those ground control points. And we require a minimum number of ground control points depending upon the type of mathematical equation that we will be using. We require a certain minimum number of ground control points. So once we identify ground control points, then we use polynomial equations to convert my source coordinates to map coordinates. So depending upon the distortions in the imagery and the number of ground control points that are available to me, then we can use simple mathematical equations or we can use complex mathematical equations. Now, complexity of a polynomial or complexity of a mathematical equation is order of the polynomial. That means the highest exponent that is used in the mathematical equation. Right? So, for example, here I am showing you the first order transformation or a simple mathematical equation in two variables x and y with power of x as 1 and y as 1. That means simple first order polynomial. Had this been y square, it would have been a second order polynomial, right? The power of variable is 2. So that is the order of the polynomial. So this is the first order polynomial where the small x and y we are denoting for input coordinates, or we can also use I and j, row and column, and the capital X and Y are the ground coordinates or the map coordinates. So this is a simple first order mathematical equation, affine transformation or linear transformation which is used to convert my rows columns into latitude, longitude. And this transformation is capable enough to make all the 4 changes in geometry. If you remember, we had a slide displaying the differences in geometry between image and a topo sheet. So this first order polynomial is sufficient to make all the 4 changes in geometry, right? So we can use this and transform. Using this and transform means solving this equation. Solving this equation for a particular image and a particular map. Solving. How to do that? Identify ground control points, right? So if you look that, if you want to solve this equation, there are 3 unknowns, A0, A1, A2 in X and 3 in Y. So that means total number of 6 unknowns. So I need 3 ground control points because each ground control point has X and Y, right? So each ground control point will give me 2 equations. I need 6 equations to solve this transformation. So I need a minimum of 3 ground control points. However, with 3 ground control points, the error cannot be estimated. So for error, I need at least one more ground control point. That means minimum 4 ground control points I should take to transform my image to map, and vice versa. I can also do map to image coordinate transformation. So once I have 4 ground control points, that means I have 8 equations and 6 unknowns. I'll be using a least square fitting technique to see how good the ground control points fit these two to these equations. So this fitting can be, the error can be measured by root mean square error, RMS error. So accuracy for this transformation can be measured by computing the RMS. What it is actually, like if it is that if my, this is my source ground control point, that means the ground control point which I have measured using a GPS or a map, and my computed equation has given the coordinate as here. So this is the difference between the computed position and the actual position of the ground control point. So this is the distance d, which can be calculated using the Euclidean distance formula. Ideally, this RMS error should be 0. Ideally, this RMS error should be 0. Larger this error, that means it's not acceptable. The computed position and the actual positions are found. So how much RMS error can be acceptable? It depends upon the end use of the data, right? The type of the data and how many ground control points that we have. Generally, an RMS error of less than 1 per ground control point is acceptable, provided that average of the RMS error is less than 0.5. Right? So with this, once we have some ground control points, we can calculate the forward equations and the backward equations and transform our data. So that means after the mathematical transformation, I have one grid which is overlaying over the other grid. Now the output grid is here, but it does not have DN values. So DN values have to be brought from the input image to be filled into the output grid. Right? But there is a problem here. The two grids will not match neatly. They will be rotated, translated, etc. Right? So that means I have to take a resampling. I have to interpolate the value from the raw data. Right? So there are 3 methods: nearest neighbor, bilinear and cubic convolution. 3 methods for assigning DN values to the output rectified image. So nearest neighbor is the simplest one, where when the two grids do not match, we take the nearest one, right? We take the nearest pixel to this, like if my solid one is the corrected and the dashed line indicate the raw image, then if I have to fill the corrected image this location, we look at the nearest pixel, right, and fill in the DN values. The advantage is it's a very simple method. Data is coming from the original image value, right? So this is a very simple method. It's easy to compute, fastest. The disadvantage is that some of the input values do not find their place in the output image. So there is a blocky appearance. There is not a smooth transition. Some data values are lost, right? And others are duplicated. So then the solution to this is that we use a method called as bilinear interpolation. So instead of simply looking at the nearest pixel, it looks at 4 nearest pixels and take the average of the 4 nearest pixels. Right? So this will remove the blocky appearance or the stair-stepped effect which is caused by nearest neighbor approach. So image will look much more smooth. Disadvantage is that you are computing a new value which is not there in the input value, right? So it will take more time to compute. The third method is basically cubic convolution. So when the error is more, so you use the cubic convolution approach, which is basically same as bilinear interpolation. Only difference is it takes a weighted average of 16 nearest pixel. So it's even more smoothing. You can see that if you are averaging 16 pixels weighted average, so it is more smoother than the bilinear. And disadvantages are also similar. It will take much more time to compute than bilinear interpolation, and it also is not original data, it is a computed data. So on the image, it is this how you are going to do. Image, you are identifying a ground control point. Corresponding point you are identifying on the topo sheet. So you do this for minimum 4 ground control points, and then you get the RMS error for each ground control point. So if this RMS error is less than 1 per ground control point and average is less than 0.5, then that means your transformation is good and you can go for resampling. So after, if this was the original image, so after resampling, the image gets aligned according to a north-south oriented map. That means my image gets rectified. And if you see the status bar, you also see the rows, columns as well as the latitude, longitude for any particular pixel on the satellite image. So this combinedly, the geometric and radiometric corrections are termed as image pre-processing. Now the good news is that the recent data sets, the agencies which are providing the recent data sets are free of any radiometric or geometric error. So you don't have to do the step of radiometric error correction or geometric error correction, because you are getting radiometrically corrected geocoded images. That means the images that are being supplied by agencies have geographic coordinates attached to them. So you need not do any geometric and radiometric correction. But you should be aware that if you have any historical data where you're doing change detection studies, and if your data is not rectified, it does not have same map projection as your other image, you have to overlay them over one another, and then this is the procedure. Rectification. You have to identify ground control points, fit mathematical equations, resample, and then you get two images which can overlay over one other, right? Otherwise, newer data sets are all having geographic coordinates. So this is all about the image pre-processing. The next sessions will be on image enhancement and information extraction, right? So now we will break for some time, and in the meantime you can send your queries, your questions. We can discuss them after a short break.